There's a lot of nasty people online. Horrible, horrible people. Unlimited amounts.
By the way, if any of y'all has been feeling a punch-like sensation on your leg, that is my husband, Magic Chan Sonichu, right on the opposite side of the universe field.
And in a lot of my videos, I cover these people. It is not my favorite thing to do, but it is important to do it. Just kidding, it's a really fun and easy way to make entertaining content. Smash like if you want to see more, guys. Today we're talking about a really interesting guy, a little guy called Plagued Moth. Now, I didn't know anything about this fella up until quite recently with some stuff happening. We'll get into it, man. This is a doozy, a real shebang of a story here, guys.
So the YouTuber Plagued Moth got his channel terminated, and to be honest, he kind of deserved it.
Holy smokes. Good golly, Miss Molly.
The most disturbing topic I've actually covered?
Not sure if you guys know anything about this guy or know who he is, but you can comment down below your initial thoughts and opinions. If you thought he was someone completely different, if you're, going to be disturbed by the content of this video. If the last time you checked on him, he was just kind of doing his own thing and being normal. The name rings a bell for me. The name does ring a bell and has for quite a while, but... Hello everyone, today I'm excited to share something that has made keeping up with my wellness goals way easier. Factor makes nutrition simple by delivering fresh, never frozen, chef-crafted, and dietitian-approved meals straight to your door. It is perfect for those of you who are busy, those of you who don't like to cook, and also for those of you who are just looking to get a little bit healthier and trying to balance all those other things. It's incredibly convenient and delicious. Every single meal is ready in just 2 minutes. There's no prep, no cleanup. And today I'm trying one of their Gourmet Plus meals. By God, they've really stepped up their home cooked flavors. I genuinely like Factor. I've been using Factor for a really long time. I've got my mom on it. I've got my sister on it. I even sent a box to my grandparents while I was in Virginia recently. My grandmother loves it. The shakes, she loves the shakes. Anyways, if you want basically free food, use code 50OOMPA. Click the link in the description. Whatever, dude. There's 50 OOMPA code, 50% off for your first order, plus free shipping. How's that even possible? Thank you to Factor for sponsoring this video. Say goodbye to meal prep and say hello to delicious, effortless eating. Use code 50OOMPA for 50% off and free shipping. You'd be genuinely not that smart if you didn't do that. I'm sorry. But I wish I could get that deal again. Plagued Moth, aka Dylan, is a YouTuber who gained popularity for his coverage of dark and disturbing real-world topics.
Let this serve as a warning that this is one of the most disturbing cases I have ever looked at.
True crimes.
In December of 2018, a video would begin to circulate on social media that would shake Norway and many of its surrounding countries in Scandinavia to their core, in solidarity for the murder of 2 young women.
Deep, dark, crazy, scary mysteries.
In the past year, we dove into some of the most depraved and unbelievably horrific events in media to ever exist.
The dark web, horror themes, things like that. It's pretty interesting stuff. It doesn't automatically mean you're a weirdo, freak, but some people, it seems like, are who do this kind of stuff. Known for his analytical yet haunting storytelling style, Plagued Moth captivated audiences by shedding light on unsettling aspects of humanity that few creators dared to cover. His content appealed to those intrigued by the darker side of online culture, which helped him amass a dedicated fan base interested in his deep dives into some of the internet's most enigmatic topics.
Snuff films are among the most disturbing of urban legends. A filmed murder, or often in description, the torture of somebody until they are inevitably murdered. But what exactly is snuff?
Some of his content was actually really good. It was genuinely really interesting. Plagued Moth had grown to a decent-sized following of 400,000, and all of his fans seemed to really enjoy his content. He'd been gaining a lot of traction over the years, and as the years went on, trying to reach out to other horror mystery creators like Mutahar or Wendigoon to collaborate, and eventually, he got his big break. In May of 2021, alt-right content creator Wendigoon and Plagued Moth would make a video together collabing, exposing Plagued Moth and his channel to a much broader audience. This collab was necessary for Moth to continue making content because that same year he had switched up his content style a little bit and began to go more in depth on the gore of these certain video topics and even show the gore.
Eventually, he decided that this wasn't enough either and went on to record himself live reacting to full videos, blurring them out but letting the audio play unedited, meaning you could still hear whatever was happening in the video.
Which you can't show gore on YouTube, and also why would you want to show gore? That's weird. Last time I showed gore, I lost an election by 300 votes to Bob Dole. I don't know. Al Gore? Something about election being stolen in Florida in the year 2000? I'm not sure. Bob Dole? Who's Bob Dole? What the f? Who's Walter Mondale? That's my father's name. Kamala Mondale. A lot of his new uploads were him live reacting to gore with the video audio still playing in the background. YouTube already didn't like his content, and adding gore audio and live reactions certainly didn't help. So all of his videos were demonetized as soon as they were uploaded, and the Wendigoon collaboration was necessary in order to extend his career. Not only did it bolster his viewership and sub count, but it also boosted his Patreon support, which was his main source of income. Now, there's a lot of crazy stuff that's been on YouTube, to be honest, and one of the very first videos I uploaded to my channel many moons ago was me live reacting with my friend the Swollen Gamer to cake farts. Obviously, I didn't put the video on YouTube, but the farting cake sounds were on YouTube, and that's sort of like my own version of what Plagued Moth did, but instead of it being gore, it was a woman farting on a cake, and me laughing jovially with my friend. No victims involved, so slightly different, but, you know, reacting to stuff that's weird, that's not allowed on YouTube, it's an old tale, okay? A tale as old as time itself. In January of 2021, Plagued Moth had 380 patrons, equal to $1,322 per month. Following the collab, as of June 2021, he had 1,332 patrons and made roughly $4,249 per month. And by August that year, he was reportedly making $10,000 a month on his Patreon. He had merch as well, which gave him some decent cash, and things were on the up and up for the Moth, but that unfortunately wouldn't last long. So what exactly did Mr. Plagued Moth do? Around the time that he made the switch to reacting to gore, people started to get fairly uncomfortable with him, which is completely fair. It was almost as if he was starting to enjoy the gore a little too much. Furthermore, while reacting to videos of people getting murdered or gored, he made light of the situations, cracked jokes, and even laughed at certain videos.
To make matters worse, Moth could often be seen giggling and cracking jokes while he watched people get tortured.
You know, there's something to be said about comedy and stuff. It's pretty good. I'm on a podcast called The Red Thread. Sometimes when I read things that are inappropriate, I laugh, and it's not because it's like I think it's awesome and funny. It's because I feel so insanely uncomfortable that I laugh. It's not because I'm a psychopath, but it's because you could maybe say that or whatever, but it gets way worse, I promise. It gets substantially worse for this guy. This, however, is where he first entered into controversy, as people, specifically in the gore community, which is a real thing, and the adjacent communities, started to dislike him.
May 16th, a thread was created on the Mondo Gore subreddit, one of the largest gore communities, about their dislike for Plagued Moth. The thread quickly erupted in replies, people saying that his content was low effort and low production value, and his topics were saturated and rehashed as he repeatedly revisited stories. People also took issue with Moth's overtly edgy personality, with him calling himself things like the Gore God and Herder of Feelings.
Like many people outside of the gore communities, they were all sort of turned off by his extremely disrespectful reactions to the people and victims in the videos that he's watching, snuff films and gore, and I don't know, dude, it just seems weird. Like, that's your whole thing, is just it's weird, right? One video in particular really turned people off of his content. The title of the video was One Girl 99 Stomps, which consisted of CCTV footage of a man mugging a young girl and then curb stomping her to death. In this video, Moth was laughing and joking around as usual, but what upset people the most was when he began to count the stomps like Dracula from Sesame Street, insulting the victim and minimizing the seriousness of the situation.
And I'm going to do something more messed up. I'm going to count how many stomps actually happened because I'm curious. You can judge me all you want. You kindly don't care at this point.
What was even Crazier is that this video was not age restricted, and this exposed another major problem surrounding Plagued Moth's content.
The reason why 99 Stomps is an important video to understanding all of this is because this is the video that got autoplayed at me. Since Moth did not think age restricting a video that contains footage of a 15-year-old being murdered was a good idea, especially considering the commentary.
You see, his content was catered towards a younger audience, like most of YouTube. If someone says they're making videos for adults, they're probably lying, or they're just not accurately interpreting the information that YouTube is giving them.
I have a lot of insight regarding Moth as I was directly in touch with him for a while. Honestly, the most disgusting part of this entire thing is that he is 100% going for a minor-only audience. Proof of that is his Discord, which is filled with they-thems and these cute flowery pictures as profile pictures. I'm sure you get the idea. On the final note, I find it quite hilarious that he now has multiple videos regarding mixtapes, yet he knew exactly who made the compilation that essentially boosted his entire career from the get-go. He still tries to downplay it to his minor-filled audience as some mysterious dark web thing, while we knew from the day it was given to him who made it, and he's admitted to knowing that as well.
YouTube generally has a younger audience, that's true. Definitely, there are content creators who have older audiences, but you gotta do your best to prevent kids from watching your content if it's not appropriate for children. It's very important as a content creator to make that the reality. And just saying, well, it's not for kids, and then uploading stuff that kids literally shouldn't watch doesn't prevent kids from watching it, to be honest. As it turns out, most of Plagued Moth's most gruesome videos were not age restricted, meaning that children had unlimited access to horrific and traumatic content, and even his audience knew this.
People need to realize his channel isn't for us seasoned watchers. His target audience is for the younger generation. He did get a lot of stuff wrong at the start, but his channel has grown a lot since. When I was growing up, it was basically impossible to find the backstories behind these videos. PM's channel is dedicated to finding the backstory behind these clips. Hate him if you want, but the youngsters like him. Oddly enough, despite being meant as a compliment and defense of Moth, the implication this makes is possibly far worse than anything anyone else had said.
And in order to take some of the heat off, Moth would age restrict a lot of videos and redo the description of the One Girl 99 Stomps video, but that didn't do that much to, you know, undo his sick, perverted mind that people started to see for what it actually was. Very odd. What a strange guy. I don't really know a lot about gore, or sometimes I see shit and then I'm just like, man, I wish I would have never seen that. Nowadays, I just scroll. If anything even remotely looks like it's going to be something that's going to stick in my brain and play on repeat and with me for days or years, I just scroll. I don't give a anymore, dude. It's not worth it. You can't unsee shit. Seems like so. I'm trying to wooey turn my wife around heel. With the publication of this video, people began to dive deeper into Plagued Moth's social medias, and they found some fairly horrible things. The first YouTuber to call him out went by the name of Jimmy J Horrortorium, and that was in December 2021. He showed proof of Moth asking for nudes from his followers on Twitter and in his Discord, which is pretty unhinged too.
Such as him asking for nudes from his followers and having a channel on his Discord server for the same purpose. Some people claimed that this video expose on Moth is what led him to set the record straight on the Dig Your Roots video, which is incorrect since Jimmy's video came out almost half a year after Moth had already corrected himself.
He wouldn't deny these claims, but instead showed that you had to provide ID to prove you were over the age of 18 to be able to access and participate in the channels.
As for the accusations that Moth did those things, he made sure to specify in his tweets about it that you had to be over 18 and required people to actually show ID in order to be able to join the nudes channel on his Discord. So this wasn't a situation where minors were being exposed to images they shouldn't have been. If anything, this implication was a classic case of projecting from Jimmy J himself.
That's crazy. That is the ultimate just insane thing to do as a content creator, to just straight up farm nudes from your audience. It's okay though, they need to provide it. I made a bot on Discord. All right, I made a bot on Discord. They're not only allowed to send them, they got an ID. All right, because it's not possible to Photoshop a ID and lie, or, you know, whatever. Oh, for some more context, by the way, this guy has a wife and 5 children, and a few months earlier, he was posting about how his daughter needed life-saving treatment for her type 1 diabetes. What kind of husband and father runs a Discord server farming nudes from his fans? He's a scumbag. He's a weirdo scumbag. Really wild. Absolutely cavalier and brazen, I'd have to say. What a brash character. So it's already fairly clear that this man is a scumbag, but what was uncovered next would completely ruin his public reputation and the perception of his fans. If you look at his Patreon, you would see a few tiers. The tier we will be focusing on is tier 2 in the rewards, which are, quote, 100% uncensored gore content, literally access to the full mixtapes, gore clips, and my videos with no restrictions. And that is if you went onto his Patreon and paid $5. You would get access to a folder containing some of the most heinous gore imaginable.
Snuff R73 features a really gruesome segment involving Moth and Cold Raven reacting to a baby in a state of agony.
And the real cherry on top is that you didn't have to provide any sort of ID at all to access it, unlike his nude farming on his Discord. As we discussed earlier, he was well aware that his content is being watched by younger viewers who are curious about gore online, and with his Patreon, it's a, easy street for children to pay $5 and actually see real gore, unlike in his videos which were censored for YouTube. So yeah, that's a pretty bad, negative, evil business model, I've gotta say. It's pretty F tier. Pretty bad, pretty cringe. So with all this new traction occurring in such a short period of time, Patreon was quick to review Moth's rewards and realized that this man was selling gore on their website, which goes directly against their policy because selling gore in general is just kind of bad business practice. It's like selling shark fins, for shark fin soup, but worse, I think. So in July of 2021, his Patreon was temporarily taken down, and because of this, Moth had to email all of his patrons for a little bit before moving the gore to his Discord, which was also filled with underage users. And again, as long as you paid on Patreon, you could get access to the gore channel. He moved his gore distribution from Patreon directly to Discord, which also against their TOS, guys. Also against Discord TOS. Oh, this guy's a dummy. This guy's a dummy. What the hell was that? Somebody dropped a damn coin. He would try to deny that these channels existed, but his mods would contradict him and say that they did exist. Within the gore channel, there were 3 sections: censored videos, uncensored videos, and Moth's infamous 4 documentary, which we will talk about more later. With all this new hate, Plagued Moth decided the best idea was to go on Twitter and call these people out. The people who find his content repulsive and bizarre, and the people who claim that he is exploiting dead people for money. In a way, he vilified himself and made it a part of his identity. From this point on, the adult married man with 5 kids would play the victim. There's no way he could be in the wrong, but it gets worse, though. It gets a lot worse. The infamous 4, the little documentary I talked about earlier, is a documentary put together by Moth covering depraved gore online, completely uncensored, and with Moth making goofy commentary. This documentary was exclusive to the Patreon and could only be viewed if you paid $5. And as far as his content goes, it's not that different from the rest of his content, except for the fact that during the introduction, he included censored snippets from a dark web video called Daisy's Destruction, which is a CSAM video that involves torture and death. It's insane to even, that's ridiculous. He immediately got even more hate, and absolutely rightfully so. He would try to outright deny that he used the footage, but it would be later discovered that his statements contradict each other. In a tweet defending himself, he claimed that he had never seen nor owned the tape, and that the footage used in the documentary was from a 60-minute interview with the creator of the tape. Yet, in a Discord message, he claimed that he had watched it a long time ago on 4chan.
According to Scare Theater, this was nearly impossible to find except through a 4chan post, which apparently had a download link to it. Is it possible that Daisy's is accessible on the surface web? Sure, but I sure as hell never had to deal with jump scares like that.
So, I don't know if that's true, and whether or not the video is censored, it's still CSAM in a video, CP in a video, which is one of the most depraved things a human being who is like making money off the internet can do. It's just crazy, absolute sickening nonsense. The edgiest married man with 5 kids in the world who calls himself Gore God. So edgy. At some point though, you're no longer edgy and you're just a criminal weirdo. You're just, you don't fit in with society at that point. By the way, this instance would not be the only time that Moth was associated with CSAM and child death. In 2022, Moth uploaded a series of videos reacting to a child abuse dark web video titled Amber Alert.
Following it up by claiming he sent a tip to the FBI about it. I don't really understand how it can be bad enough that he tips the FBI off, but it's not so bad he can't download it from a dark web distributor and then send it to his own audience.
Once again, he got in trouble, and his defense for repeatedly showing child endangerment content was that it was not sexualized and that other people do it.
There was so much backlash from the child abuse mixtape video that it pushed Moth to make a follow-up explaining why that kind of content is legal and doesn't qualify as child exploitation because it's not sexual. But of course, this isn't a very strong point, since there are many people who consume sadist content for gratification. He was clearly developing an audience of actual degenerates, and he was fine profiting off of them.
This is a very lazy, stupid way to deflect criticism, but I'm sure your parents at one point or another have told you if your friends jumped off a bridge, would you? Yes, of course. Other people do it, so I will too, because I am stupid. His argument for this is terrible and shows just how unapologetic he actually is. He doesn't care about logically defending himself. He just wants to make money off gore and jack off to illegal shit. I don't actually know. But by this point, the Plagued Moth does absolutely know that his audience is full of degenerates, and looking at the comments, it is filled with people asking for uncensored stuff and more gore. It's what his audience comes to watch on his channel. And in a YouTube community post, he talked about how he was banned for being a bad boy, but it was actually because he was streaming gore live, which is against Twitch TOS. So yeah, being a bad boy is just being a dumbass, I guess, right, guys? It's insanely obvious that this guy doesn't care at all, and he's just pushing the boundaries of what is allowed because it has gotten him the most fame. And it's not like it's, you know, boobs or saying offensive memes or anything like that. He's showing gore. He's feeding gore to his child audience of degenerates. He's ruining people's minds. It's not even debatable. It's just so much worse. I got a strike for being a bad boy on Twitch. The idea of being a content creator, curating content that includes Amber Alert footage and Daisy's destruction footage, clips, whatever, and having those readily available, I just can't imagine being that guy. And also having a wife and 5 children, I mean, God bless them. What's even worse is that mods on Plagued Moth's Discord admitted to watching CSAM and claimed that they did it as a study.
Almost half a year after their conflict began, in January 2022, Moth brought up Fergie again, claiming he watched and justified it as a study. At one point, Moth sent a disclaimer out to all users of his server, saying, if anyone with a username Fergie the one and only or anything of that variation messages you, please be warned that he is a PDF file who has a 14-year-old furry neo-Nazi boyfriend.
And in a Discord full of minors, this is incredibly dangerous because this mod was also 15 years old, and who knows where he found that material. Was it Moth? Did Moth give it to him? I have no idea. In a video posted 2 weeks ago, a YouTuber named Slime Beast, who had beef with Moth for exposing him, posted a 5-minute compilation of Moth openly admitting to watching CSAM.
The most disturbing topic I've actually covered? Kind of hard to say, I guess. Probably the TikTok thing. And then actually take that back. That was pretty bad, but the most recent, the Sophie Ryan thing, that's probably the worst because there's actual, like, I had to see some fucked shit for that one.
So yeah, that's pretty bad. Kind of a big, gigantic, massive L. He posts gore and allows children to view uncensored gore for profit while also shilling CSAM to that same audience. This guy takes absolutely no accountability because he is a personified villain. And now anything he does is just people being overly sensitive if they criticize him in any way. So, Sugma. Also, his channel's gone now. His channel got deleted. This guy's a professional herder of feelings. Such an edgy edgelord. Also, did I mention he's married with 5 kids? Imagine being a father and having 5 children and your parental instinct to protect children is so weak, and your parental instinct, your instinct to just be a good person is so weak that on career day at school, you go to your daughter or son's class and show up and they're like, hey, I have a gore channel, actually, is what I do. I watch CSAM and videos like Daisy's Destruction and Amber Alert. So, you know, I'm kind of a badass, pretty much. I'm a herder of feelings professionally online. Very strange, to be honest. Anyways, while all this was going on, he and his wife were defending their actions, which only deteriorated their reputations even further. In 2023, Moth was fed up with all these YouTubers trying to expose him, so he started making allegations. And as highlighted earlier, Plagued Moth and Slime Beast do not get along. Both great names, by the way. And last year, he went on a tirade accusing Slime Beast of also watching CSAM, being a R-word and doxing him and his family, accusing him of stalking, filing false DMCAs against Slime Beast, and all of that for it to just be completely debunked.
Plagued Moth immediately went insane, telling me to kill myself and posting a litany of false allegations, all of which were easily and completely disproven in a video I made immediately after he posted his. I've come to see Plagued Moth as the biggest hypocrite on the website. He complains about false DMCAs, yet he files false DMCAs all the time. He filed one against me because of an 11-second clip.
Moth also admitted to watching CSAM on stream while talking with Slime Beast, so I don't even know how you could defend any sort of behavior. This guy's a total piece of shit.
The clip that he DMCA'd was of him and me talking on a live stream, in which he said that he watched CP.
Have you ever seen Daisy's Destruction?
No, I have not, thank God.
Do you know what it is?
No, you have.
Do you know what it is?
Yeah, you have seen it.
No. Do you know what it is?
You have seen it, by the way.
Okay, sure.
He filed a copyright strike for no other reason than to hide that evidence.
I mean, yeah, people hate him, and it makes sense. A lot of people are really upset by this guy. He also had beef with another YouTuber, That Creepy Reading, who fully exposed Moth for supplying young viewers with gore without IDing them by simply buying the Patreon reward, getting access to the server, and taking screenshots. Easy layup, I guess.
So here's the problem. How would you get into the server that was invite only via Patreon? Or I would have to invite you when I never heard of you. But then you donate $5 allegedly and get access to this grotesque theater of gore. Now, why would you donate in the first place? That's a good question, but the story falls through right there. That's a lie. Again, that's why he has no credible screenshots. That's why everything's from 2021 and from Kiwi Farms.
Moth also blamed TCR for his Patreon getting taken down at that time.
According to Patreon, they conducted their own investigation and reacted accordingly.
He randomly tagged me in my video today because he's the one who got my Patreon deleted for false reasons, which I'm actually talking to supervisors over at Patreon about what legal action to take next between them and him for fraudulently reporting my account.
If Moth really had a contact that he was communicating with to get me in some sort of trouble and get his channel reinstated, why is my Patreon still up? They have done nothing against my false flag. Maybe it's because my flag was not false, and for some reason, Moth's definition of gore does not include videos that were made literally 2 years ago being sold in 2023.
He was supposedly talking with a Patreon rep to seek legal action against TCR, but we all know that's not true because he was literally selling gore on their website, and there's no way that Patreon would ever align themselves with anyone like Plagued Moth. His wife, by the way, supports him 100% and joins in on threads defending him.
When user Morphine Rat simply posited Moth had been acting weirder, Moth's wife Andrea replied, white knighting for him and gratuitously attacking the original poster. Now, however in bad form this may have been, it was just a drop in the bucket compared to what was about to come.
And posting YouTube videos defending her husband, and to be frank with you all, they both are disgusting human beings, just ugly beasts of human beings.
With the information I gathered, this is the price of the average home for these decades. To be fair, I did get the percentage increase for each decade.
The way they talk about even each other and other people just shows their immaturity, and it's scary to think that they have multiple children, more than one child. I cannot believe they have children. It's crazy. They literally discuss their sex life jokingly when replying to hate comments. In their minds, they're absolutely owning these people, hurting feelings, and just being the biggest edgelords of all time. But in reality, they're embarrassing themselves on a level that is difficult to even articulate. What's also crazy is that Moth doesn't like it when people talk about his family, but he insults other people's families as well. So very crazy if you could imagine him also being a massive, weak hypocrite. He's a permanent victim, and that is partially the reason why we talk about him even today. If you could believe it, he is back to accusing people of being amongst awful other accusations. By the way, his YouTube channel was officially removed pretty recently, and he's moved on to Rumble, guys, which is a great website. Let's see, Plagued Moth. He's still on here, I think. Oh, wow. This user loves gore and body horror. Oh, that's awesome. Nice, 100 views. Very good. That's pretty good stuff. That's a lot of views. 300 views, 200 views, 265 views. This guy's a weirdo. This is mind-blowing. Interesting content to make for sure. Not that bright of a future, I have to say. Along with Rumble, a lot of these accusations from Plagued Moth have been coming from his Instagram account, because for some reason he still has an Instagram account. YouTube banned his content for coverage of illegal CSIM mixtapes. He calls them mixtapes. And his Twitter has been down for quite some time. I think it was still Twitter at the time that it went down. I can't remember though. I don't really care either. This is ridiculous. This guy is weird as f. If you look through his recent posts, you can see that this man's world is entirely collapsing and just falling in on itself. He's struggling to pick up the pieces. He's just lying about people now. His whole career is just lying about people now and watching horrible shit. It's an odd grift. It's a very, very odd grift, I have to say. He's just throwing out accusation after accusation, hoping that one will stick so he can drag as many people down with him as possible. But I don't think anyone else is going to go down with him. I don't know. Allegedly, he's been creating fake accounts to craft narratives to paint people as like this guy Spindling, but it's not fooling anyone. I mean, what's the point? Why not just go get a real job? Or I don't know. Are real jobs hard to get? I don't know, actually. I'm not sure if Plagued Moth will ever face any legal repercussions for his actions online. There's a lot of evidence against him showing that he is a horrible person and he's watching shit that is just like illegal. And he's got shit on his hard drives that absolutely is illegal. Him and his wife are horrible people who shouldn't be on the internet, but obviously that's not a legal thing. If you're a dumbass and a bitch, then, you know, that's not a crime. Yet. Maybe Trump will make it illegal. We can only hope. Maybe the best thing we can hope for is for him to entirely be deplatformed, which I don't think is possible because Rumble doesn't ban anyone. But as soon as they realize maybe that he's like putting CSIM stuff on their platform, maybe they will, because I don't think they like that. I don't think any social media platform likes people who publicly talk about CSIM and the enjoyment of it and watching it. So, Moth is not on Patreon anymore, but if you check his link tree, you'll find that he has a Cameo and 2 links to websites similar to Patreon. And looking at the rewards, you'll find tiers still that are very similar to the ones that he had on Patreon that give the buyer full Discord access and access to his Dropbox, where he will ship you uncensored videos. The main difference is that now supporters must be 18 up in order to support him, and this pretty much acknowledges that he knows that what he was doing was absolutely wrong, and now he is trying to lessen the damage by having it be 18 and up, trying to mitigate liability for his future, because it's a very, very liability-riddled thing he's doing. This is dangerous. This is not a sustainable business model. So now when he's selling gore to people, it's 18 and up, even though it wasn't when he was at his peak with his large young audience. By the way, have I mentioned he has fallen off so hard that it is difficult to, once again, articulate it. So yeah, good riddance to that guy. Anyways, guys, if you want to see completely uncensored videos, go to the Gump Club and sour.gg to buy some candy. By the way, when we say uncensored, we don't put anything, I say in videos. That's what's uncensored, or like a meme or something. Nobody puts anything. That's not normal. This is not normal. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. I appreciate you, and I'll see you in the next video.